Everyone wants to succeed. Everyone dreams of a better life, more success, more freedom, more happiness. But the truth is only a small group actually make it, maybe 2%. The rest give up, get distracted, or lose belief somewhere along the way. The question is, why? What separates those few who make it from the many who don't? It's not intelligence, it's not luck, it's mindset. The 2% think differently, act differently, and react differently to failure. When things go wrong, and they always do, they don't quit, they learn, they adapt, they keep moving. The 98% stop at the first wall they hit. The 2% climb over it. Most people want quick success. They want results today, applause tomorrow, and comfort forever. But success doesn't work that way. The 2% understand that growth takes time. They're willing to be uncomfortable, to fail, to look foolish, and to start again when everyone else has given up. They don't chase comfort, they chase purpose. The 98% talk, they plan, they wait for the right time. But there is no perfect time. The 2% act, they start with what they have even when they're not ready. They don't wait for permission or ideal conditions. They create their own opportunity through consistent action. Here's another difference. When people say it's impossible, the 98% believe them. The 2% smile and keep working. They know that every dream looks impossible until someone makes it real. That belief is what drives them. They don't let other people's opinions decide their future. The 2% also take responsibility. They don't blame their boss, the economy, or their past. They look in the mirror and say, if it's going to happen, it's up to me. That mindset changes everything, because when you take responsibility, you take control. When you take control, you create results. And finally, the 2% never stop learning. They read, they listen, they ask questions. They don't think they know it all. They're humble enough to grow, yet strong enough to stand alone when necessary. They understand that success isn't about luck or talent, it's about habits. What you do every single day shapes who you become. So if you want to be in that 2%, stop looking for shortcuts. Stop waiting for motivation. Start working, even when it's hard, even when no one's watching. Do something small every day that brings you closer to your dream. The difference between success and failure is not huge. It's one extra try, one more hour, one more belief in yourself when everyone else has stopped. That's the gap between the 98% and the 2%. Don't just wish to be successful. Decide to be. Be among the few who keep going when others give up. The world belongs to those who refuse to quit. The biggest difference between those who succeed and those who don't isn't money, education, or luck. It's mindset. The way you think determines the way you live. The 2% who reach their goals see challenges as part of the journey. When they fall, they don't complain or make excuses. They ask, what can I learn from this? That simple question changes everything. The 98% stop because they think failure means the end. The 2% know failure is the beginning of understanding. A strong mindset is not something you're born with. It's built through habits, struggles, and choices. The 2% train their minds to stay calm under pressure. They don't let emotions control them. When they face rejection, they don't take it personally. They see it as redirection. That's how they keep moving forward when others give up. Your mindset shapes your reality. If you believe life is unfair, you'll always see problems. But if you believe every problem carries a lesson, you'll find opportunities everywhere. The 2% understand this. They don't wait for motivation. They build discipline. They don't rely on luck. They rely on consistency. Their mindset keeps them steady even when the results don't show up immediately. The 98% often give in to fear. Fear of failure, fear of judgment, fear of starting small. That fear keeps them stuck. But the 2% use fear as fuel. They act even when they're scared. They understand that courage isn't the absence of fear. It's doing what's right despite it. Their mindset turns fear into power. It's easy to think success comes from talent or opportunity, but the truth is talent means nothing without the right mindset. A person with a strong mind can learn any skill, overcome any obstacle, and create their own chances. On the other hand, someone with a weak mindset will give up the moment life gets hard, no matter how talented they are. The 2% protect their mindset carefully. They don't spend time with negative people who drain their energy. They read, listen, and surround themselves with voices that inspire growth. They know that what goes into your mind eventually shows up in your life. In the end, success is mental before it's physical. You have to win in your mind before you win in reality. The 2% succeed because they've trained themselves to think like winners, even when everything around them looks like loss. That's the real secret. Change your mindset and your life will follow. Success is not for those who choose comfort. It's for those who choose persistence. Most people want to achieve something great, but the moment the path gets difficult, they stop. They want results without the struggle, progress without pain, and growth without effort. But the 2% who actually succeed understand that comfort kills dreams. They know that nothing meaningful comes easy, and they are willing to endure discomfort for as long as it takes to reach their goal. Persistence means staying committed even when you don't feel motivated. It's about showing up every single day, whether you feel like it or not. The 98% often let their emotions decide their actions. If they feel tired, they rest. If they feel discouraged, they quit. But the 2% push through their feelings. They don't rely on moods. They rely on discipline. They understand that results come from consistent effort, not occasional enthusiasm. Comfort is a trap that feels safe, but keeps you small. When you always choose what's easy, you avoid the very things that could help you grow. The 2% know this. They challenge themselves daily, stepping outside their comfort zone to learn, adapt, and improve. They welcome discomfort because they see it as a sign of progress. Every failure, every rejection, every hard moment is shaping them into someone stronger. The 98% often stop when they don't see instant results. They say, it's not working, and move on to something else. But the 2% know that success is slow. They understand that growth is invisible, at first like seeds buried under the ground. Just because you don't see the plant doesn't mean it's not growing. Persistence means trusting the process even when you can't see the outcome yet. Persistence also builds character. When you keep going despite setbacks, you develop resilience. You start believing in your own strength. You realize that obstacles are not there to stop you. They are there to test how much you really want it. The 2% pass those tests because they never settle for less than what they're capable of. They refuse to quit just because it's uncomfortable. Choosing persistence over comfort is hard, but it's the only way to grow. Comfort gives you short-term peace, but long-term regret. Persistence gives you short-term struggle, but long-term success. The 2% choose struggle now so they can enjoy freedom later. They are not afraid of the pain of effort because they understand it's temporary, but the pride of success lasts forever. In life, you either suffer the pain of discipline or the pain of regret. The 2% choose discipline every time. That's what separates them from the 98%. When others stop, they keep moving. When others complain, they keep working. That persistence, that quiet, relentless drive is what turns ordinary people into extraordinary achievers. One of the biggest reasons most people never reach their goals is because they spend too much time waiting. They wait for the perfect time, the right idea, or the best opportunity. But the truth is, there is no perfect time. There is only now. The 2% who succeed understand this. They act even when they're not ready. They know that action brings clarity while waiting brings doubt. Every step they take teaches them something new, something the 98% will never learn by standing still. Many people dream big but never start. They make endless plans, write goals, and talk about what they'll do someday, but someday doesn't exist. The 2% know that success doesn't come from talking. It comes from doing. They take the first step, even when it's small, even when they don't have everything figured out. That action creates momentum, and momentum creates progress. Action is what separates dreamers from doers. The 98% fear failure so much that they never even try. They tell themselves, I'll start when I have more time, more money, or more experience. But waiting only builds fear, not readiness. The 2% understand that you learn by doing. Every mistake, every setback, every rough start is part of the process. You can't become successful by thinking about success. You have to act your way into it. When you take action, you create opportunities that didn't exist before. The 2% know that most doors only open after you knock, not before. They don't waste time waiting for luck. They create their own luck through effort and persistence. Every day they show up, they increase their chances of success. Even when things don't go as planned, they learn something valuable that moves them closer to their goal. The 98% often spend time overthinking. They worry about what others will say or whether they'll fail. But the 2% accept that failure is part of the journey. They'd rather fail while trying than regret not trying at all. They understand that taking imperfect action is better than waiting for perfect conditions. Because if you keep waiting for everything to align, you'll never begin. Action also builds confidence. The more you act, the more you trust yourself. Each step forward, no matter how small, strengthens your belief that you can handle what's ahead. Waiting, on the other hand, weakens your confidence. It feeds doubt, and doubt kills dreams. The 2% don't wait for motivation. They create it through movement. They act first, and motivation follows. In the end, success doesn't come to those who plan the best. It comes to those who start. You don't need all the answers before you take action. You just need courage to begin. The 2% act while others wait, and that's why they reach places the 98% only talk about. The difference isn't luck, it's motion. Because dreams don't work unless you do. Every great achievement starts with someone who believes that what they want is possible, even when everyone else says it's not. That belief is what separates the 2% from the 98%. Most people let doubt control their decisions. They think small, act small, and live small because they don't truly believe they can do more. But the 2% see things differently. They don't ask if something is possible. They ask, how can I make it possible? That simple shift in belief changes everything. Belief is powerful because it shapes action. When you believe in yourself, you act with confidence, you take risks, push through fear, and keep going when things get tough. But when you doubt yourself, you hesitate. You talk yourself out of opportunities. You find excuses instead of solutions. The 98% let fear win, while the 2% let belief guide them. They know that success starts in the mind long before it shows up in real life. Believing in the impossible doesn't mean ignoring reality. It means refusing to be limited by it. The 2% understand that every great idea once sounded crazy. Flying in airplanes, connecting the world through the internet, sending rockets to space. All of it was once impossible. But someone believed. Someone dared to see beyond what was visible. That's how every major breakthrough in history was born. Not through luck, but through belief. The 98% often let others decide what's realistic for them. They listen to people who've already given up on their own dreams, but the 2% protect their vision. They know not everyone will understand their goals, and that's okay. They don't need validation from others to move forward. They trust their instincts, even when the world doubts them. Their belief becomes their strength, their fuel, and their direction. When you believe in the impossible, failure becomes a teacher instead of a barrier. The 2% don't give up after one setback because they're driven by faith in their goal. They know that every great success story is built on persistence and belief. Each failure is just proof that they're getting closer. While the 98% stop when things get hard, the 2% dig deeper because their belief keeps them alive when logic says it's over. Belief also attracts opportunity. When you carry conviction, people feel it. They trust your energy and want to be part of your vision. The 2% inspire others not because they're perfect, but because they believe with everything they have. That belief turns ordinary people into leaders and dreamers into doers. The truth is, the only limit that truly exists is the one in your mind. Once you believe something is possible, your actions align with that vision, you stop seeing reasons why it can't happen and start finding ways to make it happen. That's the mindset of the 2%, unshakable belief in themselves, even when no one else sees what they see. And that's why they succeed where others stop. One of the biggest differences between those who succeed and those who don't is how they handle responsibility. The 98% blame others when things go wrong. They blame their boss, their parents, the economy, or even luck. But the 2% take responsibility for everything that happens in their lives. They know that as long as they keep blaming something outside of themselves, they'll never have the power to change it. Taking responsibility isn't about guilt or blame. It's about control. It means accepting that you are the driver of your own life, not a passenger. When you take full responsibility, you stop waiting for someone else to fix your problems. You realize that no one is coming to save you. The 2% understand this deeply. They don't waste time complaining because they know complaints change nothing. Instead, they ask, what can I do about it? That simple question turns frustration into action. It moves them forward while others stay stuck in excuses. The 98% often believe life is unfair. They think the world owes them something, an opportunity, support, or success. But the truth is, life doesn't owe you anything. The 2% know this. They work hard not because they expect fairness, but because they understand effort creates its own luck. When you take responsibility, you stop focusing on what's missing and start focusing on what's possible. That shift changes everything. Responsibility gives you power. The moment you say, it's my fault, you gain the ability to say, I can fix it. The 2% never see themselves as victims. Even when they face setbacks they didn't cause, they take control of their response. They can't control what happens, but they can control how they react. That mindset gives them strength that the 98% never develop. The 98% often spend years blaming circumstances for why they can't move forward. But blaming doesn't change your situation. It only makes you feel powerless. The 2% understand that ownership is freedom. When you take responsibility, you no longer depend on luck or others to shape your life. You become the creator of your own destiny. Taking responsibility also builds character. It forces you to face hard truths about yourself and your habits. The 2% are honest enough to admit when they're wrong and disciplined enough to change it. They don't waste time defending their mistakes. They learn from them. That's how they grow stronger with every challenge. In the end, responsibility is not a burden. It's a privilege. It means you have the power to shape your life in any direction you choose. The 2% understand that success doesn't just happen. It's created by decision actions, and accountability. The more responsibility you take, the more control you gain. And when you control your attitude, your effort, and your choices, nothing can truly stop you. That's why responsibility isn't just a mindset, it's the foundation of real freedom and lasting success. The people who truly succeed in life never stop learning. They understand that knowledge is not something you gain once, it's something you grow for life. The 2% who rise to the top are always curious, always improving, and always looking for new ways to understand the world. Meanwhile, the 98% stop learning once school ends. They believe they already know enough, and that belief slowly limits their potential. The 2% know that every new skill, idea, or experience adds value to their life. They read, listen, observe, and ask questions. They don't just collect information, they apply it. They turn learning into action because they understand that success in any field depends on growth. And growth depends on learning. The moment you stop learning, you stop progressing. Life is constantly changing. Technology, business, and opportunities evolve faster than ever. The 2% adapt because they keep learning. They aren't afraid of new ideas or change. They see learning as a tool to stay relevant and strong. The 98%, on the other hand, resist change because they fear what they don't understand. They get comfortable with what they already know, and that comfort becomes their trap. Continuous learning builds confidence. The more you know, the more capable you feel. It helps you make smarter decisions and solve problems faster. The 2% don't wait for someone else to teach them. They take initiative. They find lessons in books, mentors, failures, and even in people who disagree with them. They treat every situation as an opportunity to learn something new. That's what keeps them ahead, not luck, but growth. The 98% often think learning ends with a diploma. But the real world doesn't care about certificates. It rewards people who can adapt, think critically, and improve themselves constantly. The 2% know that real education begins after school, when you start learning for yourself, not for grades. They study people, patterns, and possibilities. They're not afraid to start as beginners again because they know that every expert was once a student. Never stop learning also means learning from your mistakes. The 2% don't see failure as something to fear. They see it as feedback. Every mistake teaches them something they couldn't learn from success. They reflect, adjust, and keep moving forward smarter than before. That's why every setback becomes a step up for them. In the end, success belongs to the learners. The more you grow your mind, the more you grow your life. Learning keeps you humble, hungry, and hopeful. It reminds you that no matter how much you achieve, there's always more to discover. The 2% never stop learning because they know that growth is endless. And that's the secret. When you keep learning, you keep rising. The world changes every day, but the learners, the doers, and the curious ones, they always find a way to stay on top.